All right, so we'll just get started then, since the beginning is a lot of introduction and getting to know the idea of nourishing power. Um, this session is being recorded, and we will share out the recording to folks that have registered in case they are not able to make it today. And then our brief agenda is some introductions that I'll go over quickly before the member of our presentation team goes into describing the Nourishing Power Network, and then getting into the meat of the policy action for food justice RFP, and then Taryn orienting us to the online grant portal before we close for folks to unmute and ask any questions. However, if you do have any questions or you think of anything as anyone is talking, feel free to ask in the chat, and one of the team members will be sure to respond to those either in the chat or during the Q&A portion. All right, so just for brief introductions, if folks are willing and able to add their name and organization or affiliation into the chat, just so we get a sense of who's in the room with us today. And then I am sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Shannon Walker, a postdoc here at the Sweatland Center and member of the Nourishing Power Network. And then we have several people representing the Nutrition Equity Fund who will come off mute and present throughout the slideshow. So Sean and Shelby, representatives from the Advisory Council who are on now, myself from Sweatland, and then Taryn Gress from Neighborhood Connections. Sean, I can turn it over to you.
Thanks, Shannon. So I'm going to start the presentation. I want to lead us through just 4 slides pretty quickly where I talk about the ideas behind the Nourishing Power Network, sort of our vision for system change, and then we'll talk about some team agreements that we use to sort of manage how we do meetings together. We get the next slide. So our vision at Nourishing Power is to root and grow a food system that promotes freedom and hope and dignity in food traditions, resulting in health for Black, Latino, Latina, Latinx, in Asian and Indigenous communities. And we are really focused on the root and grow part of that. So that's part of what this grant is about. Our mission is we are a community action research project, and we're trying to figure out ways to take the work that is being done in communities and combine it with the work that is happening in large organizations and sort of spark food justice across the community. And our strategy, our view of this is sort of fourfold. Shelby and I sit on the advisory council, where we're working to sort of learn what's the best possible way to do this. And how we're doing that is we're working with Nourishing Power Fellows who are doing the work on the ground in the communities. We are also, Shelby and I work with the Nutrition Equity Fund, which is what this presentation is about, where we are making grants to organizations who will hopefully be able to create a policy environment that supports the work of the Nourishing Power Fellows. And then we are doing our best to act as a bridge and connect as many people as possible. So we are holding networking events around the city to connect people to the idea of food justice and the people who are doing this work. And then our team agreements, like I said, these serve as sort of our guidelines for how we manage our meetings. The first one is take space, make space. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak. Everybody's experience is important, and we want to hear from as many people as possible. We ask that you be as fully present as possible, so limiting electronics, side conversations. We ask that people engage in active listening, like lean into the conversations. Be mindful that your intent does not always equal your impact. we ask that you assume good intentions, but on the same token, we ask that people be mindful of the impact of what they say and how they act. We believe that there should be a space where people feel comfortable sharing sensitive or confidential things. So we ask that you take the lessons that you learn here, but leave the names behind. And then, we ground our work in fun. We want people to meet new people, try new things, toss out ideas. There should be a completely open and fun space.
Shelby, are you there?
Yes, here. Sorry, I got kicked off earlier, everybody. I'll do a really, really quick intro just because I know I missed that section earlier. Hi, everyone. My name is Shelby Kammerer. I'm the Director of Health at United Way of Greater Cleveland and also very proud Advisory Council member for Nourishing Power Network. So I want to talk to you about why we want to have this Nutrition Equity Fund. The biggest reason we want to have this is we want to be able to test at this level ways to unify resources to root and grow a local food system that works for Black, Latino, Latina, and Latinx, Asian, and Indigenous communities in Cuyahoga County, which we'll just refer to as BIPOC for the rest of this meeting. We want to support initiatives that are truly community driven, that have equity baked into the model, and embrace learning as we go, be able to amplify BIPOC experiences and expertise, share power, promote connectivity, and spur collective action as community leaders and organizational partners. So we can work together to disrupt the status quo and drive transformation within our local food system, which we know isn't working. We also want to ignite community action that can lead to vibrant and nutritious food system that's equitable, fair, and deeply anchored to local community institutions and assets. All of this is guided by the values of the Nourishing Power Network. And I promise I won't read every word of this to you, but we will share out slides and really encourage you to be able to read them. They're also in the RFP. The biggest thing is that we know all people and experiences have equal value. We want to create inclusive and holistic spaces for all, build bridges for community ownership. We also believe that things that are community led will have a longer sustained impact because communities are the experts in their own experiences. And we want to promote racial equity within the food system. So we are in the testing phase right now, as we mentioned. The fund will be managed by Neighborhood Connections with fundraising support from Case Western Reserve University's Marianne Swetland Center for Environmental Health, along with members of the Nourishing Power Advisory Council like me and Sean. So learning from the initial launch will inform future iterations of the funding model. So right now we have $150,000 in the fund, and we're allocating $10,000 to the Nutrition Equity Innovation Prize, which was going to folks who participated in our fellowship, which leaves $60,000 for the Policy Action for Food Justice grant. That gives us room to be able to do another round in the future with the learnings from this first cycle. So up to $60,000 for this particular grant period, leaving us $90,000 to play with in the future. So what is Policy Action for Food Justice grant? This grant is intended to nurture coalition building to bring together local policy engagement for nutrition equity. The priority areas for nutrition equity policy can include, but could go beyond this list of 4 things. Things like land access for food sovereignty, community wealth building through the food sector, integration of culturally relevant foods in institutional settings like schools or childcare, healthcare, and nutrition equity for optimal well-being like healthy body, mind, and spirit. And Shannon, please stop me if I'm going beyond since I can't remember exactly which slide I'm supposed to stop at. Just
You're
interrupt
good.
me.
There's 2 more after this one.
Thank you very much. So our expectations for what policies we're looking to fund, these policies should have an impact on local institutions, organizations, and agencies in cities within Cuyahoga County or those serving Cuyahoga County as a whole. So it can't be done on a state level. And the RFP does not support projects that focus on federal policies either. The initiative should have a tangible win over the 15-month grant timeframe. And we say a tangible win is something that you can point at or something you can hold in your hand. That's what we mean by that. So we came up with a few examples, but we don't want this to be prescriptive. So definitely come prepared with your own examples and ideas. But things that make sense to us would be things like providing technical assistance or how-to support to navigate existing policies within organizations or local government that benefits BIPOC community leaders, their search for resources for urban agriculture, etc. You could implement organizational policies that increase BIPOC ownership of land or space needed for urban agriculture or healthy food access. You could work on institutional policies that institutional policies that diversify procurement, like vendor agreements or supply chains that increase opportunities for BIPOC food growers and makers. You could do a campaign to raise awareness about nutrition equity policy change, making efforts in Cuyahoga County, or you could coordinate coalition building to mobilize a particular nutrition equity policy within city or county government. Those, again, are just ideas. You can come up with anything that makes sense to you within this sort of policy realm. Just make sure that anything you're coming up with has a tangible win, as we discussed, and that it should be realistic within the 15-month grant timeframe.
All right, thanks so much, Shelby.
Thank you, Shannon.
So there are some important dates for consideration to keep in mind. The grant application did go live last week on the 15th, and then today is the information session. After this, there are 3 optional office hours, 2 virtually and 1 in person at Neighborhood Connections, where you can come and ask questions about your proposed idea. There is no there's no agenda, but it is required that you register to attend. And I'll make the links available in the chat as well. The application closes July 30th, and we do not accept late applications. For those who progress into the interview stage, they will be 45 minutes with at least 2 team members present, and those will be scheduled for the week of August 14th. The announcement of awards will be August 31st with a grant start date of October 1st and a grant end date of December 31st of next year. This award type is a grant with the total funds available being $60,000. We will fund up to 3 projects with a minimum award being $10,000 and a maximum being $50,000. However, we encourage proposals requesting all levels within this range. And then the award timeframe is 15 months, so from October 1st to December 31st of next year. For the applicants to be eligible to apply, the organization must be located within Cuyahoga County. It must be a nonprofit, or if not a nonprofit, the applicant must engage a fiscal sponsor to receive the award, and a letter of support is required. There must be a willingness to participate in the required evaluation of the grant-making process, and this is finalized in partnership with grantees after the award is provided. There also must be a willingness to share lessons as you go through 3 check-ins during the grant cycle with other grantees. We will not fund organizations that have a policy of discriminating based on race, color, religion, sex, gender expression or transition, age, ancestry, disability, marital status, sexual orientation, or military status, whether those policies are written or in practice. And then members of the Nourishing Power Advisory Council, the Nourishing Power Leadership Team, and Nourishing Power staff are not eligible to apply for this RFP. Sean, I think I can turn this over to you.
Thanks. So we did our best to design the grant application process to be as simple and smooth as possible. A lot of us who sit on the advisory council work in the nonprofit field and have had to fill out grant applications before. So we try to make this as simple as possible. There will be a set of screener questions that will just give us an idea whether or not your initiative is a good fit. There'll be a short written application, just a little background information, a couple of short answer questions that give us a better understanding of what you're trying to accomplish in your initiative. And then there'll be team interviews, just so we can get an understanding of your timeline, of the key milestones, your goals, and when we get to the point of the team interview, we definitely want a written project timeline with budget and budget justifications so that we can talk through it at the interview. You will be able to apply through the Neighborhood Connections Grant portal. Taryn is going to lead us through a much more detailed explanation of that later in this presentation. So just a little understanding of how we're going to make this decision. So like Shelby said, we want to see a tangible win. I come from a community organizing background. Tangible win is something you can hold in your hand or something you can point to. That means if you are working on a policy, we would like to see that policy like implemented. Like you can produce the organizational documents or the local government documents that say we are going to implement X policy. If it's something around land access, we would like to be able to see you take us to that piece of land and point at it. Like we want tangible wins. And the second thing is that we are extremely mindful of not wanting this to be an extractive process, right? This is a learning process for us on the advisory council, but we don't want to come in and take things out of the community. So one of the most important parts of our decision-making process will be, is it possible for you to use this grant and this policy or land or whatever you are trying to achieve, whatever your initiative is, to build long-term power for your organization? Will this process build your group and make it stronger when at the end of this 15 months? So just a few other things that we're going to be thinking through. We definitely want to see that the initiative embraces connectiveness, acts as a bridge between different sectors of the community, that it figures out how to build and nourish trusting relationships. We want to see evidence of openness among the team, of promoting belonging among BIPOC communities. Now, this is a learning process, so we want to see you evolving and being responsive to the situations you find in local communities. We want to see that learning, and we want to see a commitment from you to share that learning as you come across new things. We want to see that there is a meaningful involvement of BIPOC community leaders in this initiative. And by meaningful, we mean we want to see them with the ability to make decisions and share power as you are working your way through this initiative. We want to see initiatives that have an emphasis on systems change, and system change in a way that leads to wealth building for BIPOC communities, that leads to racial equity, that dismantles systems of racism. And then finally, we want to see initiatives that create vibrant communities where there's choices for culturally relevant foods. And so we want to see those things also happen in the initiatives.
So our commitments are exactly the same as the commitments that we expect from you: connectedness, inclusivity, adaptability, power relations, racial equity, and food choice. And I'll go over a little bit of what each of those mean without reading every word to you. I think one of the most important is power relations, and that's that we hope to do this differently than a traditional grant. We assume the best in grantees. So things like reporting are not there in order to monitor and punish. Instead, we hope that processes will enrich grantor and grantee relationships by having fund decision makers spend time with grantees to actually get to know you and your projects. We encourage creativity and sharing of lessons and learning from failure, which also means going up to the word above it, adaptability. We encourage iteration. We still want you to come up with ideas that can have success, but we also know that things change over a 15-month period of time. And so we're open to that flexibility. Our goal is to fund fairly and in a manner that's circular and generative and supports wealth building within BIPOC communities. Sean used the term of, we are not here to be extractive, and I really want to emphasize that. Our goal is to do this differently. I also want to emphasize the racial equity piece here. We are working to explicitly name how structures of racism influence every part of the funding process, while actively dismantling racist practices in our grant making to the best of our abilities. We're holding ourselves accountable to monitor progress through reflexivity on the intersections of race and power. You can go to the next slide. So what do our processes look like right now? We will have at least 3 reviewers for every application. 2 of those reviewers will come from the advisory council, members like myself and Sean, and then 1 staff member from the Nourishing Power Network. We will have an attachment, in the RFP, attachment 2 provides a summary of the grant review rubric, so you know exactly how you're being scored. And the final decision will be made by the advisory council together. For the budget, we encourage proposals that request funding from the range of $10,000 to $50,000, as Shannon mentioned before. So we encourage funding across that range. We allow lots of different kinds of costs, including personnel, that can be salary, benefits, other project costs like supplies, marketing, community engagement costs, et cetera, and at least 5% can go towards administrative costs to cover things that are really hard to line item, like rent, electricity, internet, the things that really keep the wheels on the bus. And there's a sample budget in the attachment C to the RFP. There are a few unallowable expenses, and this is mostly because of where our money is coming from too. So we can't fund equipment over $500 unless you get prior approval. We can't fund alcoholic beverages or goods or services for personal use. We are also not able to fund lobbying that is substantial in relation to the organization's overall activities or in support of or against a political candidate or specific legislation. That's part of where our goal to fund local policy rather than state or federal comes from. We can't fund construction, capital, or building campaigns, or any religious efforts for religious purposes, or fundraising dinners, galas, or events. The award of funds will be administered through Neighborhood Connections, who have lots of experience funding awards like this. 50% of the total funding awarded will be provided to the applicant at the start of the grant, so you don't have to go back and bill us. You get money up front to be able to use and make change, and the remaining 50% will be awarded after the midpoint milestone is accomplished. And let's talk about our relationship. As we said, we're hoping to do this differently. We assume the best in grantees and seek to deepen our relationships through the grant making process. This is about creating connections as much as it is about funding. Our goal is to establish a partnership that supports shared power relations between grantees and grantors, and the following structures are built into our grant making processes to support the goals. Page 5 of the RFP shows opportunities to connect, like having a technical advisor, an evaluation advisor, et cetera. And finally, community action research evaluation. So all members of the grantee leadership will be invited to take part in 3 evaluation interviews. The interviews occur at the beginning, so around October, the midpoint, April to June of 2024, and end of the grant cycle, which is in January of 2025. And there is additional compensation in addition to the award, $35 for interviews 1 and 2, and $40 for interview 3.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Hi, I'm Taryn Gress. Again, I work with Neighborhood Connections, and I will be doing the orientation to the online grant portal, which is the same interface that we use for our small grants and any other grant cycle that we help to manage. So we're very familiar with it and can help anyone who's having trouble with it through any questions you might have. I'm going to put the link in the chat here to the portal. So you'll register, and then once you register, you'll get to this login page. And so you'll put your email and password, pretty standard. And then once you log in, this is what shows up when I log in. This is sort of a dummy profile to show the application process. So there's a couple spaces where you hit apply to get to the next page. So there's one that's up top right below the browser bar, and then there's one that's below that's highlighted in blue. So then once you get into there, you'll have the same, your applicant and organization information up top, and then you'll get to the pre-application questions. And so these are questions essentially that we want you to think through. If you answered no to any of them, we would recommend kind of rethinking whether or not this is the best grant, the right fit for you, for your organization or for your group. So it doesn't kick you out of the system if you say no to any of the questions. You can keep going through, but it might be something where if you've answered no to some of these questions, then having a conversation with somebody would be a good next step. So then once you go through that, this is they're highlighting just kind of a couple of the key areas where you're uploading things. So in addition to answering the questions that will be in kind of a standard boxes form, there's a few places where you're uploading things. So the budget is the first that you'll encounter. So there's this highlighted in blue. It says, please use the budget spreadsheet connected to this link and upload it when completed. So you'll click on that, you'll download the budget, you can fill out the information that you have that's particular to your grant. And then at the bottom of this page is where you upload it. So you'll save that document and then you'll upload it with using this button at the bottom here that says upload a file. Then the next area where you'll have something to upload is the timeline. And so we've provided a potential timeline with kind of, what this might look like over the 15-month period. But again, this is you download the document, fill in what makes sense for your grant, and then save that and then upload it here using the upload button. And then again, this is for if you're using a fiscal sponsor, if you're not a nonprofit organization, you'll fill out the information about the fiscal sponsor, and then the letter that we would like you to have with this fiscal sponsor will be uploaded here again. And as Neighborhood Connections has a lot of experience supporting people and finding fiscal sponsors. So just putting that out there as well for folks who may need some help identifying a fiscal sponsor. And then the system allows you to collaborate. So if you have colleagues who are in or outside of your organization, you can use this feature and then multiple people can work on the application at the same time and see the information that's being filled out. So there's up at the top of the application page, there's this collaborate button on the top right, and you can click that. And when you click that, then this box appears and then you'll enter the information for the people that you want to collaborate with, and you can give them permissions for view, edit, or submit. And then you can write a message to them and hit that invite button to include the people that you want to work with on the application. And then once all of those steps are complete, you can either save the application and go back to it if there's components to it that you want to work on and then come back to. And that save is right next to also the submit application button. So both of either one over the course of the next few weeks, you can come back to it anytime, just as long as it's before the July 30th at 11:59 p.m. Then I think the portal closes for submissions.
Thanks, Taryn. I'm going to stop sharing and check to see if there are any questions from the attendees about anything that we discussed today. And I'll take a look in the chat as well. No questions?
I just want to make one clarifying point. This is Tom O'Brien with Neighborhood Connections. Regarding the fiscal sponsor, if you don't have a fiscal sponsor and it's like you're at the deadline, July 30th, right? The proposal is due, turn it in anyway and just say you need a fiscal sponsor. Okay, and we'll find one after if you do get funded. So you don't have to have the fiscal sponsor up front. It'd be great if you do, but if you don't, turn the proposal in anyway.
There was one question, Taryn, I think this may be best for you to answer. Within the portal, can you navigate in the portal, or do you have to answer one question first before moving on?
I believe you can navigate within the portal. It doesn't prevent you from answering any other question. Is that right, Tom? Just want to confirm that with you. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then Tanisha, did you want to come off mute and have your comment?
No, I just wrote it. I said, it's happening, y'all. That's all.
Thanks, Tanisha.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Awesome. Well, if there are no other questions coming in, the recording will be made available to all that registered.
Looks like we have, somebody has a few questions.
Where do you
Sorry, I
see-
just saw a
oh,
comment in
okay,
the
I
chat.
saw that.
Do you want to just come off mute, Kenya, and ask your questions?
Oh, I see. If not, I can just read them. Who makes the final decisions?
Yes.
One of the AC folks can probably jump in and answer that.
Yeah, I can answer that question. So the final decisions will be made by the advisory council based on the review and advisement of the 3 reviewers. So 2 of those will be advisory council members. 1 of those will be a Nourishing Power staff member. We'll present the scores, discuss them as a team, and make decisions that way.
Thanks, Shelby. Kenya, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
You can hear me. I'm just having little computer issues here where I'm located, but thank you.
No problem. There's another question. Would we be able to review a proposal for input before final submission? Sean, I don't know if you maybe want to, or Tom want to take this question? Because we may be able to review during the office hours, but I don't know.
Okay.
I would advise us to be able to review for eligibility or fit, but not review full proposals, only because it becomes quite burdensome. We have a relatively small team, and this is a volunteer advisory council, so most members have other full-time responsibilities. So absolutely come to the info sessions and we can talk through specific questions, but I don't think we'll be reading full proposals and providing feedback in that way.
I think
Okay.
the other thing that has to be considered is like if Shelby is giving extra support to one applicant and reviewing and reading theirs, and then somebody else didn't get that same opportunity, it could give like an unfair advantage and to like our goals of trying to be equitable across. So I think if you come to the info session or the office hour sessions with specific questions, like that's fine. And I think we may even record those office hours too. That way, if anybody else had a similar question, then they have a chance to hear the answer.
Okay.
I would recommend that.
I see.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah, my last question was how many copies of proposal would be helpful?
So can you say more about that? Because I think with just the application, you can just upload it instead of just
Okay.
sending physical copies. So the application process is done strictly online.
Got it. Okay. All right. Some other organizations have just previous experience from the past. That's all. I just want to make sure I have everything that's appropriate for you all to go over. So, okay.
It's a great
Thank you.
question.
Yeah, thanks. And then I see Tanisha in the chat, you asked about the amount. And so the minimum is 10K and a max of 50K with up to 3 awards being funded.
I wanted to add one thing. There is a link to in the instructions when you log in on the criteria and the rubric for scoring. So you can see that as well as the interview questions. So that would be important to see as well. So you'll see that the rubric that has those questions and how the committee is looking at that in the instructions.
I see another question in the chat from Regina that I'm going to try to answer. Of whether any areas are of higher priority. I would say no. Everything listed within the RFP is of equal priority. We had about 10 to 20 other things we were interested in and really tried to narrow it down to our top priorities in the RFP. So what you see there are of equal importance to us.
Any other questions or comments? Dawn, I see it looks like you're thinking.
You're trying to unmute, but you can't.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think I came in about 15 minutes late, and I just wanted to know what the deadlines were for filing again and when the consideration would be made for the winners of the
Sure.
grant.
So the application is open now. It opened on the 15th and it closes July 30th at 11:59. If you go forward with the interview, then that would be scheduled the week of August 14th. And then the announcement of the awards would be August 31st, with the grant period being October 1st to December 31st of 2024. So from this October to next December, 15 months.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem. Any last burning questions or comments? If not, we can, oh, I see one. I see the links in the chat for office hours and the grant application. Yes, that's going to be sent by email as well. And you probably already got the email with the office hours information, but I can resend those out today too.
And if I can just add to, if anybody here is new to the Nourishing Power Network, I recommend filling out our new partner form so you can continue to get updates like these about all of the activities we have going on. And I can try to quickly find the link for that here, just so if there's other opportunities that come up the next time, if you apply for the this round and you don't get it, but you want to apply again, like just so you're
Thanks, Rachel. And I just thought the links are also available in the RFP. And so you can pull those up and they're embedded in the text of the document for both the office hours sessions and the actual application itself. Thanks, Rachel. All right, if there's, Don, are you trying to come off mute? No, okay. All right, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll give you back 15 minutes of your day. And then, like I said, the recording of this session will be sent out along with the RFP, which again, if folks can't find it buried in their emails, that'll include all the links for the office hours and the actual application portal that Taryn walked us through today. All right, enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. We look very much forward to receiving some very interesting and innovative applications moving the needle on food justice. All right,
Thanks, everybody.
bye.
Hi, thank you.